Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I'm your host Suvagya. Welcome to the very first episode of our podcast. Hello everyone. I'm your host Suvagya. I'm your host Suvagya. We are going to discover and talk about something different, something unique. Hello everyone. इससे हाथ क्यों चले? In this podcast, we talk about. Welcome to. हिंदी भी तो सेकंड लैंग्वेज है ना. Sorry, third language. Welcome to the first ever episode of our podcast. I'm your host Subhagya and I'm going to take you on a tour.
Hello? Hello. Am I audible?
जी अभी आवाज सही आ रही है.
Hello. Hello. Thank you, Sobhagya, for inviting me in this space. The point you started with, the fashion industry creates huge waste. If I'm not wrong, it's like India's
Yeah.
third biggest contributors, and in our country, we have this tradition of buying and gifting clothes to everyone. And also we get gift as fabric. In weddings, we give fabrics, kapda as a gift. So which makes the more pollution, and we are not very conscious about buying garments in India. For us, what happened is, personally, we were looking for something, where we can contribute for the environment. So it started with from that actually. So we got to know in Shantiniketan that in Shantiniketan there was a tradition of natural dyeing hugely, like from Rabindranath Tagore and from batik and Indonesian influence of batik and different kind of surface designing, what you call in textile terminologies. But whatsoever, there was natural dye in tradition in Bengal and in other places also. So we thought that why not? Why not try it? So we started initially experimenting. It was like a hobby, like, like I'll dye my shirt and, I'll gift one fabric to my mother and stuff like that. It started with that. And then we realized it's pretty nice. And actually, we don't have to wear big gloves while dyeing the fabric because it's not toxic. So it's not going to harm. It's not a toxic chemical. It's just some extract of some particular flowers or some plants, and they're beautiful, So we decided that let's try it with a little initiative, like a business initiative, and start with it. So initially we felt like we started sourcing fabrics, handloom fabrics, and started dyeing them with natural colors and started making garments out of it and selling them on Instagram. And so by this process, we realized from where actually this waste comes from fashion industry. So there are like steps. It will be better. So I'll narrate that also with this journey. Like people should also know about this. So we know it's third in India, but how it becomes third, how it becomes so big and violent. So it's the pollution starts from the dyeing itself, because most of the garments we buy and wear in India, it's basically cotton. We produce a hell lot of cotton in India, and it's not today, it's probably 4,000 years.
Water consuming crop also.
Yeah, we wear cotton because cotton is mass produced. Now the problem is, it starts from dyeing actually. So the cotton are white basically, or not even fully white, little yellowish texture. And then people dye it with chemical colors, and this color, so this is the first level of pollution which is created of making a fabric. So we realize, so what we do now, we collect yarns, the same yarns other people also do with chemical colors. So we collect the yarns, we dye them with natural colors, where we don't need to throw any chemical to the ground, because there is no chemical involved in it. And so this is the first level of pollution which a fashion industry creates. The second level is after the fabric is ready. Yeah.
This like contributes to the water pollution, I guess.
This contributes to majorly water pollutions, majorly water pollution. The second step is after the fabric is ready. Then what generally we also do that, but everybody do that, they cut the fabric to make a dress or a shirt, you know. And in this process, because of the cutting aesthetics and style, there is a huge quantity of fabric which is called waste, because they are like tiny pieces, cut pieces from a square fabric, you know, to make particular shape or pattern or whatever. So what happens? So this is the second biggest pollution here comes here, is that so this fabric goes for landfill. This waste cutaways goes for landfill. Not only landfill, even the poor people, what they do is, in cities, they collect it and they burn it to make fire and for living, without even knowing what it's contributing to the environment, because it's people throw it and they collect it. This is I'm talking about for cotton, but in our country both are available. Cottons are also available, and mix things are also available, like mixed
polyester, nylon, and all.
Polyester and whatnot. So they also burn that. What we do after making a dress, so we don't throw those tiny pieces. So it's like a waste management within us for our model. We have tried to develop a model where we are not zero waste. We haven't reached those levels yet, because I still have very but we are reaching towards that. I don't think that zero waste is like something you reach, you know. It's not like from one day. It's a process. You have to start within it. So for us, what we did, instead of throwing those tiny pieces, we started keeping it. So then we started making dress out of it and different kind of other products. In my bag, there is one hanging that is completely made from waste, and that's how we are doing it. And now we are slowly going one step forward. So it's like a circular model which we follow. That was our notion, to make it like a more circular we can make, so we don't throw anything. So that's it. Now we are taking another step where we are approaching to other sources of waste fabrics, and turn them into upcycled products and different things. So yeah. Say, we were saying something.
मैं एक क्वेश्चन आपसे पूछना चाहूंगा, जो आपने ये शुरुआत की, आपने स्टार्ट किया फ्रॉम द बिगनिंग, जब वेस्ट एज ए चैलेंज आपको दिखा, और ये जो नेचुरल डाइंग और ये केमिकल डाइंग, इसके वजह से जो इम्पैक्ट्स आ रहे हैं वो आपके सामने दिखे, और इसके अलावा आप जो काम करते हैं ऑफ वीवर्स के साथ, जो आपके डायरेक्ट स्टेक होल्डर्स होते हैं, जिनको आपको मैनेज करना पड़ता है, जिनका, जैसे मैं यहाँ पे उड़ीसा का सिनेरियो बताऊं, तो पर्सनली जब मैंने विजिट किया था टू दिस काइंड ऑफ कम्युनिटीज ऑफ आर्टिसंस, तो उनका एक इकोसिस्टम होता है जहाँ पे वो लोग एक फिक्स पैटर्न में काम करते हैं, जहाँ पे उनका कुछ डिजाइन तय होते हैं पहले से, और उस पे ऊपर आगे काम करते रहते हैं, और वो थ्रू आउट द टाइम अपना एक मार्क बना देते हैं कि दिस काइंड ऑफ पैटर्न हमारा ही ट्रेडमार्क है, लाइक वैसा वाला एक सिस्टम बना देते हैं। तो आप और आपके व्यूअर्स के बारे में कुछ बताएं जो आपके साथ डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली काम कर रहे हैं। वो हाउ इज दैट प्रोसेस? क्या वो पहले से ही एग्जिस्टिंग था, या फिर आपको पूरा रीबिल्ड करना पड़ा? तो फिर क्या था, व्हाट वाज द सिनेरियो, और आप जब एंटर किए तो क्या चेंजेस लाए?
बेसिकली इसमें बहुत कुछ बोलना पड़ेगा. इट माइट बी लिटिल बिग बट आई शुड like somebody has to talk about it, so I should say
जी।
about it in a detail. So I don't know about other states in India, but somehow in West Bengal what happened is, so imagine 100 years back, like there was like weavers in every village in Bengal. There were like weavers. There will be one area called Tatipada, means weavers
हाँ ठीक
colony.
है। या।
Yeah, in every area there will be one Tatipada. Still, you can find these names and different areas, and you will find still weavers living there. So it was very common actually. Like all weavers, so it was distributed, and every village had their own style and all that. What happened is, somehow after partition, a huge number of weavers, because of partition, came from Bangladesh and settled in two diff- in one place called Shantipur and Fulia. Shantipur is like by the written history is found that they have fabrics from 800 years, like they have that history of weaving. So they had this tradition, and also a lot of weavers from Bangladesh, they came and started after partition. They started staying there. Also government allotted colonies there, and these weavers joined that profession because that was easy for them to join. And so does Shantipur became a hub of weaving, like hub of weaving. But unfortunately now, if you go to Shantipur, you will find most of the looms are semi-machine loom. They are not handloom anymore. There are very less handlooms people practice because it has become a small scale household industry where people are doing money and supplying all over and entire supply. It has centralized in one particular area. For business and economics, I don't know. I'm not an expert in that, so I can't say whether or whether it's bad or how it's the impact. For the design perspective, what I would say that Shantipur still have their own traditional designs that is there, but like this centralizing a business hub actually destroyed many other weavers in different villages, so those who couldn't shift it to these areas or couldn't get connected to this network of weaving, they lost it. So either they lost it or they are part-time weavers. Because in Bengal, there are villages where people weaving is not only a profession, it's like a puja. It's like the family thing, so have to do kind of a thing. So that's why still they haven't sold those wooden structures or burned those wooden structures. Their next generation might do. But so what they do is they're like part-time weavers. They are farmers basically. So they do farming and also they do weaving, So they know basic patterns and small things. Some of them who remember their ancestor things, because most of them actually forgot it, like because they are not full-time weavers. Thankfully, this village we found, this is also the same scenario. They are all part-time weavers. So now this is the monsoon, they are all busy in their field for farming. So they are not weaving right now. So this is how their system of economy they have developed for so far years. So this village where we work, they used to weave very good quality khadi gamcha, like stoles and dhoti, and different kind of weird handloom orders they used to do. So they used to traditionally this is very funny and very interesting also. So this particular family, Rakhohori Das, our main weaver, so his family is been making munda, the dhoti which people wear in um, Kerala and also in Tamil Nadu, the big lungi, that stole. So they have been making it like his father used to make it and send it to Kerala. He's making it and send it to Kerala. So they have very distant small
business relations, yeah.
small business things, like small type business, but very different and distant things. They never been to Kerala, but somehow this business worked. Like something happens.
Yeah.
So they do this kind of things in our village. They are not into sari making. They don't make saris. They can make saris. They have, but they generally don't make saris. So it was not very difficult for us to interact with them, and because they are not very busy like people in Shantipur, because it's an industry. You have to make certain quantity of fabric. That's what is
Okay.
the rule is. Because if you go to a machine loom, then the machine runs. If machine will charges electricity and stuff, so you have to run it for at least 50 meters or 100 meters of a particular design. Otherwise, they just won't do it. They'll refuse it. But for a part-time weaver like us, he takes much time actually. He takes like 7 days to weave a small piece of fabric, but we don't mind that, because he's doing it in handloom, and it's fine. It's not a problem. And and he'll make for 10 meters for us, like that, even smaller than that. They can like that. The system is here, so it was not very difficult. Rather, it was like, I'll say, it was like made for each other. We couldn't afford to take like 100 meters of fabric and all that, and we don't want to get into that model of business as well. uh, So yeah, so that was, and we actually learned handloom weaving. We did a small weaving course,
Great.
and that helped us to understand about basics of weaving, because I didn't know anything about weaving before. I'm not a textile designing student from any big institute or even any textile
That is what my
connection.
like. I researched a bit about you कि आपका जो background है that is from filmmaking या
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
screenwriting basically. From
yeah, yeah.
screenwriting to यहाँ से transition, how is the journey? मतलब वो तो हमें पहले पता चल गया कि आपने एक आइडिया को समझा कि environment friendly और natural clothing का ये जो सारे चीजें हैं जो पहले से एग्जिस्ट करते थे उसको फिर से ट्रेंड में लाना, जो
हाँ,
आपका थॉट था, दैट वाज सो देयर.
हाँ,
बट यू नेवर थिंक कि जो एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड होता है और हमारा जो एस्पिरेशन होता है, एक टाइम पे हम
हाँ,
लोग
हाँ.
सोचने लगते हैं कि ये भी करना चाहिए, वो भी करना चाहिए. तो
Hmm.
कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है वो वाला फैक्टर, लाइक वो ट्रांजिशन पीरियड में?
First, I'll try to say why I shift like this transition of my profession and
ओके.
what I'm doing and all that. So actually, it's very inner feeling. Actually, so I used to work in mainstream media, a little bit work, whatever I used to get. Uh, and after coming home, I used to feel
This was in
like
year, which year this was?
this is, so I shifted to Shantiniketan in 2017.
Okay.
And this is like 2015, 2016, I made a feature film. I tried like crowdfunded and stuff like that. Before that,
Okay.
also, I was trying to do small things and also some ad films in Delhi and this kind of stuff. So what happened actually, like from the inside, like after when I used to come back from shooting at home, while coming on the taxi or production car. So I used to ask myself, like, I have always this question that what did I do today? How did it help to whom? This question of asking yourself that whatever you have done in one day, for whom you have done, and what is the benefit you and everyone is getting, like how it helps.
Okay.
Honestly, this answer was not very satisfactory, because I've been doing in media, and there was like one part of entertainment where it's very different. Like it doesn't have much. It has purpose, different intellectual purpose, uh, but it doesn't give me that satisfaction that okay, I'm doing something great. I'm with my work. I'm contributing to something. It was never a contributional job I was doing to myself, to my house, to my environment, to my everywhere. If I feel this is my world, this is my place to live in, and then I was not doing much actually. I felt, like so I used to ask myself, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Am I like I'm getting little money and I'm fine? I don't know other. So I was also insecure because I don't know other things. I don't know about any other craft or anything. But what am I doing? How does it? It's just giving me some money, but it's again just that corporate loop. It's nothing beyond that. It's not a great. I'm not greatly satisfied by the works which I have been doing. So whenever I ask myself, so what am I doing? So I'm doing a very small thing, but I feel great actually.
Small thing actually, it's a big initiative. Like the cause is very